Hey friends, happy Friday! Yay, we made it through another week together. I am here with the last two chapters of Earthquake in the Early Morning. This has been a really good book. So we read chapter 8, 7 and 8 yesterday, right? Jack and Annie found their way to the magic treehouse safely, which was fantastic. And we think that they were transported back to the Frog Creek Woods. Let's see if that's the case. So chapter 9 is called The Wonderful Room. The songs of early morning birds filled the woods. Jack opened his eyes and sighed. They were back in Frog Creek. He could breathe again. His eyes didn't sting anymore. He was wearing his own clothes, even his sneakers. I wonder what happened to everyone, Annie asked anxiously. Andrew, Peter, their aunt, Betty, and Fred, and all the other people. Jack pulled out the research book. He turned to the last chapter. He read aloud. After the earthquake fires were put out, people from all over the world sent help to San Francisco. The brave citizens of the city never gave up hope. Many even wore badges that said, "Let's rebuild at once." In less than 10 years, San Francisco was once again one of the loveliest cities in the United States. Look how cool that is. Even after all of that devastation, everyone came together to rebuild, and they did it, right? Teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what they say. Oh, good, breathed Annie. Hey, do you have our sign? Jack reached again into his pack. He pulled out the sign from Peter and Andrew. He placed it on the floor next to the list from the Civil War, the letter from the Revolutionary War, and the slate from the Pioneer Schoolhouse. We have all 4 writings now, he said. So what happens next, said Annie. Suddenly, there was a roar. A bright light flashed through the treehouse. Jack covered his face. When he peeked over the top of his fingers, he saw Morgan Le Fay. Morgan! Jack and Annie cried joyfully. They both hugged her. Morgan hugged them back. We found the 4 special writings for your library, said Jack. Annie picked up the list and the letter. Jack picked up the slate and the sign. Here they are, he said. They started to give everything to Morgan, but she held up her hand. Do not give them to me, she said. Someone else needs them more. Suddenly, a blinding light flashed through the treehouse again. There came a great roar and then silence. When Jack and Annie opened their eyes, they were no longer in the magic treehouse. They were standing in a huge, shadowy room. The room smelled wonderful, like leather and books and a wood-burning fire. Flames crackled in a huge stone hearth. Along the walls were rows and rows and rows of tall bookcases filled with books. Welcome to my library, Morgan said softly. Wow, whispered Jack. Someone here is waiting to meet you, said Morgan. I told him that 2 special messengers would soon arrive. Where is he? Asked Annie. Morgan pointed to a man dressed in dark blue in a corner of the library. He sat in a chair. His head was bowed, his hair was black and streaked with silver. He looks tired, Annie whispered. Yes, he and his knights have been defeated, Morgan said quietly. He has given up all hope for his kingdom. How can we help? Asked Annie. Morgan looked down at the special writings that Jack and Annie held. Would it help if we showed him these? Jack asked. Morgan smiled. Come on, let's show him, said Annie. They crossed the room and knelt before the tired-looking man. Excuse me, Annie said. The man looked up. He had sad, gray eyes. We're Morgan's messengers. We've come to help, said Jack. The man shook his head. I don't understand, he said in a deep, tired voice. You are children. How can you help me? Oh, little does he know that you children hold so much magic. You guys help adults more than I think you probably know. Look at this cool picture. So there's Morgan over here, and Jack and Annie. And who do you think this guy is? Kind of looks like a king. Sometimes children can help a lot, said Annie. Jack and I have helped a general, and we've helped wounded soldiers. We helped We also helped people caught in an earthquake and a twister, Jack added. The man straightened up a little. That is brave, he said. We want to share with you how we did it, said Annie. She held up the list from the Civil War. This tells you how to help wounded people, she said. She held up the letter from the Revolutionary War. And this tells you that even when things look like they're their worst, you shouldn't give up. Jack held up the slate from the Pioneer Schoolhouse. This says, if at first you don't succeed, try again, he said. Then Jack held up the piece of wood from the San Francisco earthquake. And this says that when you've lost everything, you can still have hope, he said. The man studied the 4 special writings. Then he looked at Jack and Annie with piercing gray eyes. You were both very kind to find all of these things and to bring them to me, he said. Are you magic? Oh, no, said Annie. Morgan is magic. We're just ordinary kids. The man smiled. He seemed less sad and weary now. And I am just an ordinary king, he said softly. I suppose if 2 ordinary kids can find courage and hope, then an ordinary king can find it too. The man slowly stood up. I will go now and speak to my knights, he said. I will share the wisdom you have brought me. He wrapped his cape around him and bowed to Jack and Annie. Thank you, he said. Then he strode bravely out of Morgan's library. Yes, thank you, said Morgan, walking over to Jack and Annie. You're welcome, they said. These are for your library, said Jack. He and Annie gave Morgan the 4 special writings. Morgan smiled. Their wisdom will help many readers who come here, she said. Great, said Annie. It's time for you to go home now, said Morgan. Jack looked around Morgan's library. Oh, he hated to leave. It was the most wonderful room he had ever seen. Don't worry, you can come back, said Morgan, reading his mind. You must come back for more, for you both have helped save Camelot. Goodbye for now. Before Jack or Annie could even speak, there was another blinding flash. Then they were home again, in the treehouse, in Frog Creek, in the early morning. Chapter 10 is called The Mystery of Morgan's Library. I can't believe we took a trip to Morgan's library, said Annie. Jack smiled and nodded. It was incredible, wasn't it, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack. A strong breeze gusted through the treehouse window. It blew open the research book about San Francisco. Annie reached for the book. Jack, she said, look at this. She pointed to a photograph in the research book. It showed a boy and a girl covered with dirt. The boy held a sign. It was the poem about hope. Annie read the caption aloud. After the earthquake, while fires raged through the city, 2 brave children tried to give hope to others. Look at that cool picture. There's Jack and Annie. And remember the writing? It says, there is no water and still less soap. We have no city, but lots of hope. Annie laughed. Those brave children are us, she said. That's the picture Fred took of us before we left San Francisco. Jack laughed and shook his head with amazement. Annie closed the book. I guess we are 2 brave kids who try to give hope, she said. We just gave some to King Arthur, didn't we? King Arthur, said Jack. Yeah, said Annie. She started down the rope ladder. That was the mystery of Morgan's library. We had to give 4 special writings to King Arthur so he could get his hope and courage back and save Camelot. That wasn't King Arthur, said Jack. He threw on his pack and followed Annie. Sure it was, said Annie, stepping onto the ground. Didn't you hear him say I'm just an ordinary king? Get it? King. But King Arthur's not an ordinary king, said Jack. Well, he thinks so, said Annie. I know it was him. I feel it. She smiled. Then she started through the Frog Creek woods. Jack started after her. King Arthur. As birdsong filled the early morning woods, Jack thought about their visit to Morgan's library. He remembered the sad king and how the writing seemed to give him strength. Maybe Annie was right. Maybe they really had helped King Arthur save Camelot. And maybe someday they would go back. Hurry, Jack, Annie called, before Mom and Dad wake up. Coming, Jack shouted, and he took off after her, running for home, finally. Oh, that was a good one, friends. All right, so they completed this mission, right? They needed to find those 4 special writings. So I bet Magic Treehouse book number 25 will give us the new mission that they have to be on. Let me see. 25. So number 25, and I'll give you a sneak peek. Miss Katie's going to read it next week. But Magic Treehouse book number 25 is called Stage Fright on a Summer Night. Stage fright on a summer night. I think that it might have to do with Shakespeare. I'm not entirely sure. I think so, though. I think if I remember correctly. So that will be next week. And we'll see what Jack and Annie will be up to. All right, friends. Happy Friday. Enjoy the sunshine. It keeps popping in and out of those clouds. Go out, have some fun. And that's about it, I guess, from me. So have a great weekend. I miss you guys, and I will see you on Monday. Yeah, it's my turn to do the video for the letter X. So I'll read Alpha Tales for letter X, and we'll make a word list. Letter X is super tricky. We're going to have to really work together, friends, to get that one done, because I don't know if you know this, but there's not really a ton of X words out there. But we're up for the challenge. All right, friends, have a great day and a great weekend. See you soon. Bye.